Welcome to the What Does Science Say channel. This is the deep dive where we take a look at a whole bunch of sources you've sent our way. And this time, it's quite a mix, everything from health facts about, well, a super common fruit, to tips for getting around online, learning things, searching better. Our goal, as always, is to sort of unpack all that, pull out the really key insights, maybe some surprising stuff, and help you get up to speed quickly.
Exactly. It's about getting those, high impact takeaways without you having to wade through all the original material yourself. So for this deep dive, we've got two main areas, pretty distinct actually. First, we're looking at apples. Yeah, apples, some really interesting science behind their benefits. And then we're completely switching gears to talk about leveling up your skills online using things like YouTube for learning and getting better at Google searches.
It's a really interesting combination, isn't it? Shows how being, like, well-informed these days means understanding everything from basic nutrition, almost, to navigating the digital world effectively. Okay, let's just jump right in. First up, the humble apple.
Right, and that saying everyone knows, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
It turns out one of the sources actually traced that back. It's apparently from an old Welsh saying, first written down way back in 1866.
1866. Wow. That phrase has some serious legs. And the sources you sent suggest there might actually be some solid science behind it. Apples, I mean, they're everywhere, aren't they? One of the most eaten fruits globally. You got your sweet ones like Red Delicious or Fuji, and then the tart green Granny Smiths.
And looking at the nutrition side, what the sources really highlight is the combination of things in an apple. Sure, you get simple carbs, good for quick energy, but they're also really high in fiber. Plus, they pack in vitamins like C and A, minerals, and crucially, lots of antioxidants.
Okay. So it's that whole package deal that seems to unlock the health benefits the research talks about.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how the sources connect eating apples to possibly lowering the risk for some really major diseases.
Okay, now this is where I found it got really interesting. There was one study mentioned, a longitudinal one,
Mm-hmm.
following over 1,400 older women, all over 70, for like 15 years. And the results are pretty striking. Women who ate just one apple a day were apparently 35% less likely to die from any cause compared to those who ate very few apples.
35% from any cause of death.
Yeah.
Well, that's a genuinely surprising number just from eating an apple a day based on that specific research. Makes you rethink that old saying, doesn't it?
It really does. And it wasn't just about overall mortality. Another big study was mentioned from Finland.
Right. The Finnish observational study involved over 10,000 people. And that one linked regular apple intake to benefits for things like ischemic heart disease, lung cancer, and even type 2 diabetes.
So the evidence seems to be pointing towards apples having some kind of protective effect across several pretty serious health areas.
It certainly looks that way based on these studies.
Okay, let's zoom in on heart health for a second. The
Yeah.
sources brought up research by a Dr. Catherine Bondono.
Ah, yes, that was interesting.
It showed that eating apples, and this is key, with the skin on,
Crucial point.
because that's where lots of these beneficial compounds, flavonoids, are concentrated. It can actually help reduce blood pressure and improve how your blood vessels work. And pretty quickly, too, like within hours.
Within hours, yeah. And building on that, there is another study from the University of Reading looking specifically at cholesterol. They had people with slightly high cholesterol eat 2 apples a day for 8 weeks.
Oh.
And they saw a reduction in their cholesterol levels.
Okay, but here's a really important detail the sources flagged, right?
Yes,
In that Reading study, drinking apple juice didn't have the same effect on cholesterol.
exactly. That difference between the whole fruit and the juice, it kept coming up in the sources. It's a really, really important takeaway.
Gotcha. Whole fruit, not juice, for that benefit.
Right. And beyond the heart, apples seem good for your gut, too. The fiber content helps feed the good bacteria in there, apparently, and it also helps you feel full, satiety.
Makes sense. And it's not just physical health either, is it? The sources mentioned brain benefits, too.
They did. They talked about compounds like fluoretin, which might have nootropic effects. That means like cognitive enhancing and also neuroprotective qualities.
Interesting. And for energy.
Well, it's that combination again. Simple carbs for a quick boost, but the fiber gives you more sustained energy release. Makes them a really good snack choice, for that afternoon slump or maybe before exercise.
And the sources even had a little tip. Pairing apples with healthy fats.
Yeah.
Like pistachios or peanut butter.
Yeah, creating a supercharged snack, they called it. Helps make that energy last even longer.
Smart.
Yeah.
What about for kids? Any mention?
Yes. One source noted a link between kids who eat apples regularly and having better overall diet quality and also a lower risk of obesity.
Good to know.
There was also a quick mention of apple cider vinegar in some of the cited studies showing potential pluses for weight management and blood sugar levels.
Mm.
And just to round it out, some less emphasized points included apples supporting the immune system, helping protect against infections, and even something about compounds called procyanidins maybe being good for skin and hair health, though that felt a bit more niche in the sources provided.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a list of potential benefits from just an apple. But as you mentioned, there are some important catches, especially about the juice versus the whole fruit.
Absolutely. Nuance number one, maybe the most important, eat the skin. So many of those powerful flavonoids are concentrated right there. If you peel it, you lose a lot.
Let's eat the skin.
Got it. And nuance number two, which the sources really hammered home, whole apples and apple juice are not the same thing nutritionally. Juice often lacks the fiber, and many of the beneficial compounds are just, well, gone or reduced.
Okay, that seems clear. But then the sources mentioned something else, potentially quite serious, about interactions.
Yes, this was a significant point specifically flagged in one source regarding potential medication interactions, mainly with apple juice.
Okay, this sounds important. What kind of medications are we talking about?
The source specifically mentioned that apple juice can actually decrease the absorption of certain common drugs. They named fexofenadine, that's Allegra, the allergy med, also atenolol, a beta blocker often sold as Tenormin, and aliskiren, a blood pressure drug marketed as Tecturna.
Wow. So if you take one of those and wash it down with apple juice, or drink juice around the same time,
You might not be getting the full dose of your medicine.
Exactly.
So what's the advice then?
the practical tip from the source was basically to separate them. Leave at least 4 hours between drinking apple juice and taking those specific meds.
4 hours. Okay, that's a really concrete, valuable piece of information pulled from these sources.
Definitely. And there was another caution mentioned too, related to apple juice and maybe even large amounts of whole apples for people managing diabetes or high blood pressure.
Oh, what's the concern there? The source suggested that apples or juice could potentially raise blood sugar or blood pressure, which, in theory, might make medications for those conditions slightly less effective.
Ah, I see. So the takeaway isn't don't eat apples, but more like be aware.
Exactly. If you're on those meds and eat a lot of apples or drink juice regularly, just be mindful. Maybe monitor your levels a bit more closely, as the sources advise. And, talk to your doctor if you have any concerns. It's about using information for informed choices.
Makes total sense. Okay, before we move on from apples, anything else? Any practical tips on like buying or preparing them?
Yeah, just the basics, really. Look for apples that are firm, smooth skin, good color. Avoid ones with big bruises or soft spots.
Watch them well, obviously. Eating them whole is easiest and gets you all the good stuff, including that skin.
If you are slicing them, maybe for a salad or just snacks, you can peel and core if you want. Oh, and that trick to stop them going brown after cutting. Dip the slices in a bit of water with lemon juice. Works pretty well.
Handy tip. Okay, so who knew? There's a surprising amount of science packed into the simple apple. It does seem like that old saying might have something to it after all.
It certainly seems the research provides a pretty strong case for making them a regular part of your diet.
Right. Okay, let's switch gears completely now. We've looked at sort of foundational physical health with the apple. Now let's look at what you might call foundational digital health, getting better at using the tools we use every day to find information based on the other sources you shared.
Yeah, the second part of the deep dive is all about using online resources for learning and just generally improving your digital skills, specifically focusing on YouTube for learning and getting smarter with Google search.
Right. And for anyone out there interested in learning coding, programming, web development, that kind of thing, the sources really emphasize YouTube as an amazing free resource. They even listed specific channels.
Yes, a whole list of really popular, high-quality channels offering free instruction. It's quite impressive. For example, Programming with Mosh, that's Moshfi Hamadani, over 3.2 million subscribers apparently. And his channel covers a huge range. Java, mobile dev, front-end, back-end, Angular, TypeScript, JavaScript, Node.js, Python, C#, pretty much everything.
Wow. And another big one mentioned was Traversy Media, Brad Traversy. Over 2 million subs.
Yeah, him too. The sources noted he's known for really good free videos on core stuff like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but also Python, PHP, React, Vue, Node, Laravel. And apparently his teaching style is very clear, very easy to follow.
And the list didn't stop there, did it?
Yeah.
There were others like DevTips, DevEd.
Right, DevEd, CS Dojo, Programming Knowledge, The Coding Train, The New Boston, a whole bunch of them. And between them all, they cover an even wider range. You get into things like UI, UX design, C++, C#, Docker, Django, even creative stuff like algorithmic art and machine learning basics.
It's genuinely kind of staggering, the amount and quality of free educational material that's available on these platforms for technical skills based on what the sources showed. Really shows how much you can learn online these days without paying tuition fees.
Absolutely. And speaking of navigating all that online information, the sources also had some great practical tips for using Google search more effectively, becoming a bit of a power user.
Which is pretty important, right? One source said Google handles something like 86% of all web searches.
Yeah, 86%. So getting better at searching isn't just about saving time. It's like a fundamental skill for finding what you need in this digital age.
So what were some of the specific tips?
They highlighted using search operators. These are like special commands you type into the search box. Simple, but they can make a massive difference.
Like using entitle, followed by a word.
Exactly. In title, that apples would search for pages where apples is specifically in the title of the page. Often means the page is really about apples.
Okay. What else?
There's in text, or all in text. That helps you find words or phrases only within the main body text of the page, ignoring titles and URLs and stuff. Good if you're looking for a discussion of a topic.
Ah, useful. And the file type one sounds handy too.
Oh yeah, filetype.pdf is great for finding reports, academic papers, things like that. You can specify other types too, like filetype.ppt for presentations.
Nice. And what about that related operator?
That one's clever. If you find a website you like, say example.com, you can search for related.example.com. Google will then show you other websites it thinks are similar. It's a great way to discover new resources. The example they gave was related.google.com, showing Yahoo and Bing.
Ah, cool discovery tool.
And of course, they reminded us about basic things like using AND to require multiple terms or OR to allow alternatives, which helps narrow or broaden your search.
Right, the basics are important too.
Definitely. And beyond just finding web pages, the sources pointed out some other really useful things Google can do right in the search bar.
Like math.
Yeah. Basic calculations, percentages, just type it straight in. No need to open a calculator app for quick stuff.
Pigs a click.
You can even ask it to solve equations with variables, like X or Y. Though the sources mentioned graphing, those might need a desktop browser with certain tech, WebGL.
Still pretty neat. What about travel?
Yep. Search for a specific flight number, and Google often pulls up takeoff and landing times, maybe even the terminal or gate. And they also mention using Google Flights, of course, as a tool for finding cheaper airfares.
Useful. And local stuff too.
Yeah, searching for tourist attractions or just restaurants near me or parks nearby. Great for exploring, whether you're traveling or just looking for something new in your own area.
Okay, so pulling all this together.
Yeah.
Learning how to use these free YouTube channels for skills. Getting smarter with Google search operators. It's not just about being nerdy with tech, is it?
Not at all. It's about efficiency, finding better quality information faster, unlocking amazing free learning resources. Ultimately, it enhances your ability to get genuinely well-informed on pretty much any topic you decide to dive into.
It really empowers you to navigate the overwhelming amount of information online and make it work for you.
Precisely.
So, wow, we've definitely covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From the surprising science behind a simple apple, all the way to tools and tricks for learning and finding information in the digital world.
And that really captures the idea of these deep dives, doesn't it? Taking the sources you give us, digging in and pulling out these valuable nuggets, these useful facts, sometimes surprising connections between different areas.
Yeah. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about how these two seemingly different things, basic physical well-being, like eating well with something simple like an apple, and digital literacy, being able to find and understand information online, how they're actually kind of intertwined.
Yeah, they really are. Being healthy gives you the energy to learn, right? And being able to find good information online can help you learn how to be healthier. They definitely reinforce each other.
It's about building a well-informed, capable, empowered life in today's world, using all the tools available from nature and from technology.
Well put.
We really hope this deep dive gave you some useful insights, maybe some practical tips you can use, and hey, maybe it sparked some curiosity to check out the sources yourself.
Thank you for being with us until the end of this video. Please be sure to subscribe to the What Does Science Say channel and give us energy with your likes and comments. Share your comments with us and send the video to your loved ones so that others can also use it.